Hello, everyone. Well, my return from my first LARP weekend of the year was heralded by some of my tweets being featured in one of the Quarterings videos. Feels good. And as it turns out, apparently the subject of the tweet has got me the title of a Gamergator. I feel so validated. Anyway, my break is now over, so now, here we are, back to the usual swing. And we're going to touch on something we haven't mentioned for a while, and that is Vic Mignogna. More on the note of how it has progressed, and the news about the new VA who has joined the fray on the side of hashtag #IStandWithVic. But first, a quick recap about Vic news as a TLDR for those who have not been following. Vic was accused by several individuals, most notably former Channel Awesome actress and failing Twitch streamer Marsgirl, voice actress Jamie Marchi, cosplayer Jesse Pridemore, and voice actress for Bulma and several other notable characters with whom Vic has had professional interactions with, as well as had a long-standing friendship with, until recently, Monica Rial. And her fiancé doesn't really have anything fun to say about Rontoy. Accusations have swirled about the nature of Vic's alleged wrongdoings, but mostly they have centered around him being touchy-feely with some con-goers, pulled some people's hair and creepily whispered into their ears, apparently to be sensual, as well as straight-up homophobia and the P-philia word. For more in-depth explanations of the Vic situation, there are a few channels that I have been following, and those are, in no particular order, That Umbrella Guy, Yellow Flash, Hero High, and Rakita Law. Please direct your attention over there. They have been doing diligent and fantastic work. But to continue, Vic has since lawyered up and is preparing a lawsuit against presumably Rontoy, Jamie Marchi, and Monica Rial specifically. If there are new updates on that, again, the channels I listed before, they will have all the details. Twitter has been a buzz. Rontoy couldn't stop putting his foot in his mouth. Some absolute fucking debauchery has been happening in terms of the con world and anime alike, so now we settle in on the story of today. And that is that the voice actor for Dante in Devil May Cry, Ruben Langdon, has sided with hashtag #IStandWithVic. At least, that is the extrapolation of the comments he made during a livestream on Toy Bounty Hunter's channel. Here is a clip from that.
So right as Dragon Ball Super Broly dropped, you got a lot of these people that are connected to this old Channel Awesome thing. I don't know if you know what that is. It's a YouTube network.
Okay.
And they're all kind of nobodies now. And a lot of them seem to have been conspiring to kind of just get him out of there. And they started this thing. Oh, all of these allegations against Vic and these unwanted hugs and stuff. This is the big thing that it's all about, is him hugging fans without consent. So now, like, people are using that and saying that it's like this big sexual assault, and women are coming out and like putting these like stories out. But a lot of them have been debunked because of a lot of work that people have been putting out. Mm-hmm. And still, you have people writing articles that are connected to each other. It's like a collusion. And he's got a lawyer now, and they're going to fire. It's looking like they're going to go after a lot of these voice actors who seem to have been conspiring to get him out of there. And the thing that we're hearing was because of the big religious thing and wanting accommodations at cons for his religion. And there's just, I don't know. I can't say 100%, that some of these, I don't know if some of these stories are true or not, but it's like the man didn't get any due process. All he had were people come out on Twitter showing photos of him hugging them at cons and saying that they didn't want this like 15 years ago. And, once you got one person doing it, more people start coming out, and they're coming out like anonymously and stuff. Like there's no connection. And now the man's life is over.
You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of the Kavanaugh hearing.
Yeah, it's a lot like it.
And again, I don't know Kavanaugh, so I can't speak for or against him. But what I think is, this Me Too movement it started off as this amazing movement, and I'm all for uplifting women, and I do believe that women just have gone through centuries of just being thrown under the bus and just not being acknowledged and being respected, and I'm all about the divine feminine and really uplifting women in our society. But what happens is with Black Lives Matter, Me Too movement, these movements get sort of hijacked when the motives start going a little too far, and then logic goes out the window, and you start getting people, talking about hugs, being sexually harassed because of a hug. Um, and that's just like, guys, this is, again, I don't have enough information on this whole thing to really
it take like 10 minutes to run through everything in detail. There's a lot that's happened, but the basics of it are that, like, you've got these, like, there's like Monica Rial is one of the big ones, and who else? Jamie Marchi, and there's like videos of them like being best friends for the longest time, and then all of a sudden it's just like there was just a flip one day. It just doesn't smell right or sit right with me and a lot of people.
Here's where we need to sort of pull in the reins on a lot of this stuff is, first of all, the past is the past, and we need to this is going to sound really bad, and some people are going to take this the wrong way, but we need to let go of the past, and we need to move forward with a new mindset, a new set of eyes, a new way of doing things.
Now, what is interesting about that whole thing is that is the most refreshing thing to hear from someone from that industry. Like, my gosh, I am filled with hope that we haven't lost sense of reality in its entirety yet. Now, that is not to say that I'm fully convinced, however, because, let me tell you, the media has run with this information. Originally compiled by a user on Reset Era, which, if you do not know, is kind of like the Kiwi Farms for left-wing game journos or people who are interested in the drama of tech, popular internet culture. So, yeah, Kiwi Farms for leftists. Well, this guy, Kyle Cross, compiled the stream and even was so kind to write a transcript of what was said. This transcript was then picked up by Newsweek and compounded with another voice actor in Devil May Cry named Joey Cayman's own scandal involving blackface, and you've got yourself a news story for leftists to jump on. We see here on cogconnected.com, Devil May Cry 5 voice actors have skeletons in their closets. Racist uncle skeletons, in fact. We're well into the new era of fame, where all your awful decisions come to haunt you as soon as you're worth Googling. On that note, a couple members of the Devil May Cry 5 English voice cast have come under fire over the skeletons in their closet. First up is Joey Cayman. He plays Morrison in Devil May Cry 5. He also had a YouTube channel called Cayman TV that was just a hot mess of offensive garbage. Cayman posted videos taking cheap shots at minorities, trans people, and more. Every video was a feast of slurs and terrible accents. It was already weird enough that they had an old white guy playing one of the game's few black characters. This makes it much worse. Next is Ruben Langdon, the voice of Dante. Unlike Cayman, he didn't dress up in 10-cent blackface or anything. Instead, he's just a firm believer in QAnon, UFOs, and Vic Magana. Langdon did an interview on the Toy Bounty Hunters YouTube channel. He covers a wide range of topics, with only some of them being deeply controversial. Between the two actors, it seems there's a lot of dirt to dig up. Now, that article was written by this Adonis of manhood, James Paley, and besides making a very brief and non-substantive article for his viewers, well, it certainly did its job for me. So appreciate it. Now, I will also mention, if you do not already know, PAX East has been going on. Several creators have been there, and of course, there is news to be talked about. One Twitter I found talking about the topic, being Devil May Cry 5, was this one, SDGC, which appears to be a Twitch TV podcast about games. By their own Twitter, they say, podcast network providing gaming news, commentary, and entertainment, mental, emotional wellness advocates. Be good to each other. Live Thursdays at 9. Except, by their own admission, quote, heads up, no one at SDGC is much of a gamer, which is some of the funniest shit I have seen today. But they had this to say about Devil May Cry 5 in regards to one of their episodes, having talked about DMC5, and here it is. Side note, this episode was recorded before news about DMC5's problematic voice actors broke. SDGC finds their comments and behavior repugnant, and the team stands behind Black Lives Matter, our friends in the transgender community, and the hashtag MeToo movement. You see, I had noticed this tweet earlier today, and I had retweeted it, saying, hold that thought, but as you can see, I was blocked. But why, you might ask, was I blocked from this Twitter? Well, actually, because of something I mentioned at the very beginning of my video. Remember how the Quartering had republished some of my tweets in regards to a video he was going to do? Well, turns out a fellow named John chimed in saying, "Ah, good. One more reason for me to support Guerrilla Games. Notch is a steaming turd, and I'm quite happy to spend my money on anyone who stands against that sort of behavior. I highly recommend you follow Silent Osiris. He seems like a good dude." But why does this matter with SGDC? Well, because as it turns out, John here is one of the main contributors to this podcast. Interesting how all these things flow in a tight-knit circle, isn't it? All of this happened within days of each other, but it certainly shows how tightly woven these circles of psycho-lefty game journos are. But more on the topic. Ruben has been getting slandered by the mainstream media, but we all knew that was coming the moment we read the headline. But let me tell you something. I plan to support this man. He is a breath of fresh air in this constant suppression of free speech. And not just there. Suppression of your right to innocence. You see, Ruben was right when he said, this Me Too movement started off as this amazing movement, and I'm all for uplifting women. And I do believe women have gone through centuries of being thrown under the bus, and just not being acknowledged and being respected. And I'm all about the divine feminine and really uplifting women in our society. But what happens with Black Lives Matter and the Me Too movement? These movements get hijacked when their motives start going a little too far. And then the logic goes out the window, and you start getting people talking about being sexually harassed because of a hug. The past is the past. This is going to sound really bad, and some people are going to take this the wrong way. But we need to let go of the past. We need to move forward with a new mindset, a new set of eyes, and a new way of doing things. And that is the most sensible thing, most mature thing I have heard from this industry in a long time. Ruben Langdon, bravo. Prepare yourself, you are going to have a lot of backlash. But stay strong, and those who believe in the sentiments you express will stand by you. But for everyone else, that is the story today. I hope you all enjoyed. Have a good one, and I'll see you all soon.